Hey y'all, this is Mike. Your friendly bipolar blonde is off his meds. Hello to you. I hope you're doing alright. I want to talk to you about some Green Pond hauntings. I had put this up on your ghost stories. It used to be your true ghost stories, but I guess there's no way to authenticate some of them stories that they're getting. So anyway, your ghost stories, I changed it to that. But I had put some stuff up. I figure I'd share them here. There's this one pink house out towards Gray Hill, really after you cross the Shades Creek Bridge. I think it was just before you cross into Shelby County. Yeah, I'm a goofball. One time I had my wife with me, and I crossed the county line. Then I went back across it. Then I crossed it again, and several other times. I'm like, man, I done been to Shelby County like 5 times tonight. you know. But anyway, it was near the county line. Nice house. It was pink, and one time I see it all lit up, and going down the road, they had the door open and stuff, and it looked nice in there. I wonder why they had all lit up and had the door open though. They might have got run out that night. I don't know. But I heard it was haunted. I should have talked to the neighbor next to it. I think she was an old lady that used to let us cut through her yard to get to a spillway from a lake out there. It was good fishing out there back when I was a teenager. I reckon she's still alive. But I never did talk to her. But I just heard rumors about that house, and it became vacant. And it fell into disrepair, even though it was in good shape at one time, And, eventually they tore it down. There was this greenhouse, really 2 greenhouses side by side in Woodstock. One of them was Shotgun House, and I heard that this lady unalived herself in there because she was pregnant, and I think this was in the 40s, maybe 50s, and I could be wrong about that. I think my parents told me about it, and I don't know if I assumed or not, but anyway, back in the past when you was a young lady and you got pregnant, you didn't have a husband, not even a boyfriend, but especially a husband, you was stigmatized. People looked down on you. And, that's really not the Christian way to do it. We're supposed to love one another and share love and not really judge one another like that. Sure, you're supposed to judge sin, and it was obvious she did wrong. She messed up. But, is that a way to make her life miserable? She's already feeling bad about it, There's a lot of times people have sex and they don't get pregnant, but there's a lot of times they do, and I guess she just got caught up in the moment. But anyway, she couldn't stand it. She couldn't handle it, the judgment of people and stuff. And I guess her daddy kicked her out, and she had to live there. Maybe the rent was cheap, I don't know, but she eventually unalived herself. And the house was haunted by her for years, or something or another. Maybe she had an attachment. But I guess some people could handle her ghost more than others, because people lived in that house off and on up into the 80s. Maybe the 90s. I don't know if she escalated. I don't know if they tried to renovate the house. I hear ghosts don't like that. They're kind of sentimental, I think, or something. But they don't like renovations. They like things to stay the way they were. And I don't know if that happened or not, but eventually it just fell vacant. It stayed vacant, and it got tore down. And then the greenhouse next to it, it started to get vacant. I think that she went over there, or whatever it was, went over there. And nobody would live in it, and it got tore down just recently. And an old feller owned both of those houses, and they owned another one, which my sister-in-law lived in for a little while there. And of course, me and my wife, Melvina, we'd go over there. I seen a big old possum in the yard. I did like my first wife taught me. You know, I mean, well, her daddy had holes in the floor of their trailer, and old particle board floor. You know, it was 3/4 inch plywood like ours. But anyway, the possums would run up in there. Neighbors had pet possums, is what it was, and they get loose. And she run up and slap them, pick them up by the tail. Daddy, what do you want me to do with this? And he'd be like, well, throw it in the dryer, and I'll call the neighbor later, tell him come get his possum or possums. You know, can you imagine messes in them dryers? That dryer, I mean, yeah, man. Yeah, I'd hate to have to clean that up. But anyway, my first wife told me that, so I ran up and slapped it. And sure enough, it played possum. I didn't slap it real hard, you know. I mean, I ain't mean like that. But anyway, I noticed that if I go out every 15, 20 minutes, it'd still be playing possum, you know, and that right there would just make it play possum longer where I go to visit it. But I was watching stuff on TV over there, you know. I hung out at that house a lot of times, but I think I went over 20 minutes and the possum quit playing dead, quit playing possum, and it went on, and I never ever was able to catch it again. I'd see it, but that thing get away from me. It run up in the bushes real quick, you know, and I had to be a lot slower, you know. I didn't want to get, you know, stick anything in my eye or anything, you know, and it'd get away from me. So that was a 5-pounder too. I wanted to catch it, have me a pet possum. Only thing is, you know, most of the possums at my house get run over. They get up on the road and get run over and stuff, you know. So it's probably best, you know, it stayed there. But anyhow, it seemed like the back room, one of the back rooms was there's a little bit of activity in that, and I guess it was sourced from the backyard. There was an indention in the dirt there, a big indention, like somebody chopped a tree down and dug up the roots and stuff. And one time, one of the Woodstock police, they was dating my wife's aunt. She was over there, and they was on the back deck. And I guess they was talking or something else, being romantic somehow, some way. But a spirit came out of that depression in the dirt, and proceeded to walk up to the house and go under the house where they had a place dug out. I wouldn't quite call it a basement, but it had stuff stored under there, including a nice motorcycle I was going to get, but I never got it. It needed 3 carburetors. I don't know, they took them off to rebuild them and they got stolen or what happened, but it was a nice Honda, I guess from the 70s or early 80s. It had the spoke wheels on it, spoke rims. It looked nice. It's like a 900cc, I think. But anyway, it went under there, and the cops seen it. And it really, really rattled his chain big time. And he never went back there again. I don't think he ever saw her aunt again, you know. But that was probably the spirit that was haunting the house. I don't know. But anyway, my sister-in-law moved out because I think they found rent cheaper somewhere else, or her husband actually got a trailer and put on his mother's land or something. He got a trailer real cheap. But it wasn't because of the ghost. But after they moved out, the house stayed vacant. And I don't think it's been tore down yet, but I think it's all grown up around it now. And ain't nobody living there. Not that I know of. And then there was my wife's parents' house. Man, I tell you, that whole subdivision, I reckon, was built on, at least that hillside was built on Native American burial grounds. And all them houses out there had problems. But they was kind of mischievous somewhat, but they never really tried to run the family off. But the house was in debtor's court, and eventually the authorities made them leave. And everybody tried to live there after that didn't live there long. It seemed like there was a few deaths from living there. You know, I mean, not necessarily in the house, I don't reckon, but, you know, I mean, a few people died that lived there, you know, like I think one was car crash, and I'm not sure about the other, but I think it's more than one. I could be wrong. But anyway, when my nephew leased that house, it didn't give him any trouble. When his friend Hunter leased that house, it didn't give him any trouble because he's a friend of the family. My sister-in-law was always like, she felt like she was, whenever she'd drive by there, she felt like the house was drawing her to it again. You know, and like they was wanting the family back. That house is rightfully theirs, you know, they done paid a lot on it. But they ripped it out from under them and tried to sell it again at a high price and stuff, you know. I mean, they didn't do them right. They got done wrong. But anyway, there's another story. Oh, yeah. I forget if I told this or not, but it was outside of Green Pond. Maybe I'll tell it later. Yeah, because if I don't, I'll be tacking it onto this video, and I'll forget whether or not I done told it, unless I listen to the video again. And a lot of times when I listen to my videos, they put me asleep. You know, I hope I'm not boring to y'all, but I'm kind of boring to myself, you know. Probably because, you know, this is stuff that I lived through and know about and stuff. You know, it's just old stuff, you know. And it ain't something new and exciting to me. But, you know, maybe it is to y'all because you're just hearing it. I don't know. But I think that's it. Okay, well, y'all have a good one. I'm going to get on out of here now. All right, bye.